story you'll only see here. Local food pantries are now seeing an increase in women and children needing food assistance since the Gem City market stopped accepting WIC. That's a federal program that aims to safeguard the health of low-income women, infant and children up to age 5 who are at nutrition risk by providing healthy food.
Bryn Caswell is live now in Dayton at With God's Grace. And Bryn, what's the increase the food pantry is seeing?
Adam, With God's Grace says they are seeing a 20% increase in women and children coming here to their free grocery store ever since Gem City Market stopped offering WIC. Now, With God's Grace says because of this increase, they're now having a hard time keeping formula stocked on their shelves.
Right now, we don't even have enough formula to even sustain our clients, nevertheless, the need that is growing for the families that needs it.
So, Bryn, how many children are actually food insecure in their area?
Adam, 1 in 5 children in Montgomery, Preble, and Greene counties, according to the Dayton Food Bank, don't know where their next meal is coming from. But With God's Grace is asking for your help tonight. If you know where you can get formula or donate formula, visit the web version of this story at Dayton247now.com for more information on how you can bring it here to the free grocery store. Back to you.
Bryn, all right, thanks so much. A cold night here in the Dayton area, and it sounds like we're in for more of the same tomorrow. Lots going on behind you there.
Yeah, we got some wintry precipitation, had some snow earlier, a few snowflakes out there again this evening. Taking a look at what's going on, we do have some light wintry precipitation across the Miami Valley. Right now we do see in Sydney some light precipitation there into the Dayton area. So this is indicating rainfall, but let us know what you're seeing where you live. Likely have some snowflakes mixed in. Same thing with the Springfield area up into Urbana, heavier band of some precipitation. Likely has, again, some wintry precipitation mixed in. Otherwise, we're in the 30s, 38 in Dayton, 38 in Troy. Adding in that wind, this is what it feels like. 27 in Dayton, feels like 27 in Troy. And tonight, we'll stay above freezing, but still pretty chilly into the mid-30s. Going to see a little rain, snow mixture, breezy conditions too. I'll let you know when 70s return to the area coming up.
Natalie, thanks. Ohio voters are being asked to decide whether the state constitution should be amended to allow judges to consider public safety when they set bail. Cassie Arsenault is here now with what both sides are saying about issue 1.
One of the ballot initiatives in front of Ohio voters November 8th will ask whether judges should have to consider public safety when setting bail for people facing criminal charges. Now, supporters say issue 1 aims to return courtrooms to the status quo, and opponents argue it looks at the purpose of bail incorrectly. The proposed amendment stems from an Ohio Supreme Court ruling in early 2022 when a $1.5 million bail set in a murder, burglary, and robbery case out of Cincinnati was deemed excessive. Now, issue 1 would amend the state constitution and require Ohio courts, when setting bail, to consider things like public safety, a person's criminal record, and the likelihood the accused will return to court. And now on top of that, any other factors the General Assembly decides. I'm Cassie Arsenault. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much. A Meet the Candidates event was held this evening at Omega Baptist Church. 16 candidates all participated, some of them already holding office, others looking for their chance at a seat. Now, the event giving the community an opportunity to learn more about them before they go and cast their ballot.
Sometimes we're so mechanical. We go in there and we just check the box of whatever our political party is. But I think that this right here gives us the opportunity to get a chance to just hear from the people that we're voting for, and not just necessarily because they belong to a certain political party.
Now, Reverend Hurd, who you heard from there, says he believes it's more important for everyone to vote in each election, not just the presidential.
And tomorrow morning, the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce will be hosting a U.S. Senate candidate forum. Candidate Congressman Tim Ryan will be discussing the need of the businesses in our area. The forum will act as a way for Ryan to hear the priorities businesses have for the future. The Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce is also hosting a forum at CareSource with J.D. Vance, Ryan's opponent, on October 31st.
And of course, the midterm election is now just 3 weeks away. The city of Beaver Creek is placing 2 levies on the ballot, one for its police department and another for the city's roads. Our Mamie Ba explains the 2 levies.
One is a 2.15 street levy and one is a 2.5 police levy. The street levy would generate more than $3.5 million to hire 5 more people and maintain the city's infrastructure. The city is also hoping the police levy passes. The more than $4.1 million would be used to hire 5 more police officers and for a new building. Pete Landrum, the city manager, says there's limited space. You can't fit a full-size hangar in the lockers. The building is 2 stories when it should be 1. Damages and much more.
If the levies did not pass, they would be impacted differently. The police would be impacted quicker on actual personnel, where the streets would be impacted on actual projects.
Now, the last time funding was approved for the police department was in 2014, and the last time the street levy was on the ballot was in 2016. Back to you.
Mamie, thanks. President Biden is urging people to vote Democrat next month. The president making promises if the party holds majorities in Congress.
Folks, if we do that, here's the promise I make to you and the American people. The first bill that I will send to the Congress will be to codify Roe v. Wade. And when Congress passes it, I'll sign it in January, 50 years after Roe was first decided the law of the land.
Now, Biden's promise does face an uphill battle. There's not enough support in the Senate to end the 60-vote filibuster to codify abortion rights. The president's speech shows his attempt to elevate abortion rights as a top issue. Polling, though, shows the economy and rising prices are much bigger concerns for voters. And we'll, of course, continue to bring you up to date with all things election related. You can find all of our coverage right now on our website. That's Dayton247now.com. Just click Beyond the Podium right there under the News tab.
2 people are dead tonight after a small plane crashed into a Marietta car dealership. Ohio State Highway Patrol says 45-year-old Eric Sievers of Parkersburg, West Virginia, and 49-year-old Timothy Gifford were killed after the plane crashed around 7 this morning. No one else was injured on the ground. However, multiple cars and buildings were damaged.
I heard a big boom, and I saw some light, which kind of looked like a fire dropping out of the sky kind of deal, and heard the boom. The whole sky lit up. And me and my daughter, she's 10 years old, I grabbed her and we came running down here to see if I could do anything, but there was nothing I could do.
Both the FAA and National Transportation Safety Board are investigating the crash to try to figure out what happened. Now, one of the victims involved in today's deadly plane crash was a Columbus firefighter who just retired in May. Tonight, we're hearing from a woman he saved nearly 15 years ago. Kate Seifert reports.
In January 2008, Monica Durbin was involved in a car accident that could have ended her life. She was 20 years old at the time, a soon-to-be senior at Ohio State University. This is the car that she was driving when a street racer crossed the median along I-70 and slammed into her. Columbus firefighter Tim Gifford was one of the first on the scene. Monica says he saved her life.
We had such a close connection because of what happened to me, and it just meant so much to be near him because he was my savior.
After her recovery, Tim and Monica began working side by side. She would share her story with the Columbus Fire Department recruiting classes, reminding them the importance of their work and thanking them for their service. In Columbus, I'm Kate Seifert reporting.
A crash in Clark County left 1 person dead, 3 others injured. This happened along US 40 near Upper Valley Pike in Springfield. State troopers say 30-year-old Saxony Grisham was killed after her car was hit by a truck at that intersection. A 9-year-old girl who was with Grisham, as well as the driver and passenger of the truck, were all taken to the hospital. They are expected to survive. The cause of that crash remains under investigation.
Police are now asking for help in locating this missing Miami Township girl. According to Miami Township Police, 14-year-old Melena Young was last seen at her home on Sunday, but then left without telling her mom. So if anyone sees Young or knows anything about her location, you are asked to contact the Kettering Police Dispatch Center. That's 937-296-2558. All right, a court-appointed special master is expressing frustration while reviewing documents seized from Mar-a-Lago. Lydia Bice is at the Now Desk. And Lydia, what is this all about?
That's right. Judge Raymond Dearie blasted both the Justice Department and Donald Trump's defense team during a conference on Tuesday. He pointed to a letter addressed to the Justice Department that is among the documents found at Mar-a-Lago. Trump's team hasn't confirmed if the unsigned letter was actually sent, and the Justice Department hasn't said if it was ever received. Dearie said knowing if the letter was sent is crucial to figuring out if it should be kept confidential. He also pointed to documents that Trump wants to call personal. In that case, they would be protected. But Trump is also claiming they are covered by executive privilege, which could make them government documents.
Lydia, thanks. The Pentagon says it is completely ready to deal with a nuclear scenario from Russia.
We have not seen anything that would indicate that Russia has made a decision to employ nuclear weapons. We stand the watch 24/7 and would be prepared if we had to respond.
Now, this comes as Russia steps up its attacks across the country, raining down missiles and suicide drones. Many of those airstrikes are targeting civilian infrastructure like water and power. Officials say Ukraine has shown great resilience, getting those resources back online, and that the U.S. is committed to supplying the tools needed to fend off these attacks. The U.S. has provided more than $17 billion in security assistance since the February invasion.
The State Department says Iran supplying drones to Russia violates a UN Security Council resolution that endorsed the Iranian nuclear deal. Recently, Ukraine has reported a large number of Russian attacks on Kyiv and other large cities using Iranian-made drones. Iran denies it supplied drones to Russia. The special counsel appointed during the Trump administration to investigate the origins of the Trump-Russia probe takes another loss in court. A jury found Igor Danchenko not guilty of making false statements to the FBI. Prosecutors accused Danchenko of lying about former British spy Christopher Steele. Memos from Steele allege then-candidate Donald Trump collaborated with Moscow to win the 2016 election.
A close call near Cincinnati after a woman was nearly kidnapped while just walking down the street. The latest from police on the frightening incident.
And a verdict has just come down in a 25-year-old case. The man charged with the murder of a missing 19-year-old girl all these years later.
And we're going to say goodbye to that wintry precipitation. I'll let you know when sunshine returns coming up. Here's a live look from our Kettering Health Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
A close call in Cincinnati after a woman was nearly kidnapped while walking down the street in Carthage. A camera captured all of that scary encounter in which the woman managed to fight off her attacker. But now police are trying to find him. Luke Jones shows us that video and the clues that could help investigators track him down.
It's just before 4 p.m. Sunday in the Carthage section of Cincinnati. The victim's just gotten off work and she's crossing this street here on the way to a store when this man runs up behind her, grabs her, and tries pulling her off to his car. The whole thing's captured on a surveillance camera right here at this factory. So you see her crossing the street in that video. This guy in a bright orange shirt starts walking behind her, moderately paced, but he's getting closer and closer, and then he grabs her. You see them struggling, appears to briefly lift her off the ground. They continue to go at it and find themselves back in the middle of that street. Then she runs away and he just calmly starts walking in the other direction like nothing happened. And that man's getaway was also captured on camera. Police say he's driving a light-colored, older model Toyota Corolla. If you know anything, call Cincinnati Police. Back to you.
All right, Luke, thank you. A California jury has convicted the man accused of murdering a Cal Poly student 25 years ago. Now, they deliberated for nearly 2 weeks following 2 months of trial. Kristen Smart disappeared in 1996. Paul Flores was the last person to see her alive. Prosecutors say he killed the 19-year-old while trying to rape her. Her body was never found. She was declared legally dead in 2002. The case gained steam over the last few years thanks to a true crime podcast. Flores faces 25 years to life behind bars. A separate jury acquitted his father, Ruben, of trying to help cover up the crime.
All that stuff they say is evidence. You look through it, and there is no evidence against anybody, me or Paul. There wasn't any time, and just too much made-up stuff. That's all I can say. And it's too bad that sometimes the system works that way on feelings instead of facts, you know. So, but I am relieved, and I worry about my son, of course.
Now, they were tried at the same time. Each jury heard separate opening and closing arguments and were only permitted in the courtroom for testimony tied to their specific case.
A new report is looking into the role online platforms played in the deadly shooting at a Buffalo grocery store back in May. Lydia Bice is back at the Now Desk. And what are the findings revealing here?
The report from the New York Attorney General's office says accused shooter Peyton Gendron was radicalized online. The report says he was radicalized by anonymous, unmonitored platforms like 4chan, and live streaming platforms like Twitch were used to encourage copycat attacks. New York Attorney General Letitia James says a lack of oversight and accountability allowed extremist views to breed on these platforms. She's calling for federal and state reforms to confront it.
Well, snowfall across the Miami Valley this evening. Take a look at this. This was captured by Stephen in Bellefontaine earlier into the evening. Riding too soon on the hood of the car there, you can see that there was enough snow to coat the car. And we certainly still have some still out there as well with some light precipitation. Not necessarily the earliest on record. The earliest is to date for measurable snow of 0.2 of an inch. And we haven't seen that much in Dayton just yet. But notice here, satellite and radar still showing that wintry precipitation with this area of low pressure just off to the northeast, which is eventually going to head out. So as it heads out, we'll see some lingering showers in the morning, some snowflakes mixed in, 50s sunshine by the afternoon. Very cold Thursday morning. We're talking 20s and 30s. And then by Thursday afternoon, we'll get close to 60 degrees.
Natalie, thanks. Officials in Southwest Florida say the Sanibel Causeway could reopen to the public by Friday.
We are going to see you guys very, very soon about this causeway. I don't know when yet, but I am going to make sure it's very, very soon. So stay tuned.
Now, as you may remember, Hurricane Ian washed out the bridge there in 3 separate places. The causeway is the only road to and from the mainland for the islands of Sanibel and Captiva. 7,000 people call the island home, but have only been able to reach it by boat or air since Ian hit. Now, Congress is investigating tonight how Mississippi spent federal funds during the Jackson water crisis. Lawmakers think Jackson, a predominantly black city, could be the subject of discrimination by not receiving as much funding. Mississippi's governor hasn't responded to the congressional probe, but says the state is now working on staffing challenges at Jackson's water treatment plants. The crisis ensued after Jackson was hit by days of heavy rain and the main plant failed. It left thousands of Jackson residents without running water this summer.
President Biden expected to outline his plans to reduce gas prices tomorrow. Bloomberg News reports the Biden administration is considering the release of 10 to 15 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The White House press secretary declined to confirm the report. She was also pressed on the timing of the possible release, as some are calling it a political tactic ahead of the midterms.
Should the president not do everything that he can to lower prices? Should he not continue to keep his promise to give American people a little bit of breathing room? You know, that's the promise that he's made. Should he not do that?
This also comes after OPEC Plus announced earlier this month it would cut oil production by 2 million barrels a day. In March, Biden announced the release of 180 million barrels over 6 months. The reserves are now at their lowest since 1984. And new data compiled by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas shows older, educated, high earners are being hit hardest by the inflation. Turns out lower earning, less educated, and younger workers have fared relatively better. Researchers looked at how wages kept pace with inflation across those three categories. They found less than a third of workers in the lowest wage group experienced negative wage growth from pre-pandemic to 2022. College graduates had the most difficulty, as did workers over 56 years old. Live look from our Kettering House Skycam now. A cold day. Sounds like the morning, Natalie, is going to be cold tomorrow as well.
Yeah, a little improvement tomorrow, especially by the afternoon, but still going to be very chilly, only getting up to 50 degrees by the afternoon hours. Clouds will decrease. It will still be breezy, but still feeling pretty chilly. Now we get into the mid-upper 50s on Thursday, back into the upper 60s on Friday, and then notice next week, or this weekend, I should say, we're talking mid-70s through this upcoming weekend. Really just looking like a nice weekend overall. Lots of sunshine in the forecast, too, with an above normal temperature trend as we do head into the following week. So this is October 24th to the 28th, indicating above normal temperatures looking pretty likely for us. But we also are in need of some rain for our region. We'll have a look at the 7-day, talk about our next chance for precipitation coming up.
Natalie, thanks. A historic theater in Fairborn being restored. The funding now going into the new renovations, and how the community feels about this newest development.
1,000 people braving the cold for a ghoulish run. The school's benefiting from this year's 5K.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. Miami County Public Health is receiving money to help reduce crashes. It's going to get $46,000 in a Safe Communities grant. The federal traffic safety grant is going to help the community increase awareness on safe driving practices. It's awarded to projects that will have the greatest impact on reducing deadly crashes. Last year, 21 people were killed on Miami County roads.
A historic theater in Fairborn is being restored tonight. The city replacing the Fairborn Theater's gutter system and roof. $500,000 in American Rescue Plan Act money is being used for that project. Fairborn City Council approved the funding with Fairborn Phoenix Foundation, a group that's been pushing to reopen the space that's over 7 decades old.
The money means the world to us. Not only does it provide us with a foundation to be able to, springboard our renovations, but it also kind of represents city backing. It's always good to know that the community around you supports what you're doing.
The city says there is no set completion date for the restoration of the theater at this moment. The Fairborn Phoenix Foundation taking donations for the restoration at its website, fairbornphoenix.com.
And this evening, 1,000 brave souls ran in the 37th annual Ghost and Goblin 5K. The race benefits schools around the Miami Valley. Now, for the run, participants took to the Nutter Center at Wright State University dressed in their best Ghosts and Goblins costumes. We spoke with the co-race director who says that this event is great year after year.
I love it, just seeing the Dayton community together, even on a cold, breezy Ohio evening, just seeing all the kids, running their first 5K, or some people who are doing their 100th 5K. It's really cool.
Now, runners selected their school of choice to receive a donation towards its running program. The school district in each division will then receive a donation to help their team.
French fries and donuts, 2 national food chains announced a unique merger today. We'll tell you where you can get that sweet combination.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeffschman Auto Group.
The NFL is taking over a new holiday. The first ever Black Friday game will be played next season. Amazon has the streaming rights for the game, which is going to be played, of course, a day after Thanksgiving 2023. The teams playing, though, haven't been announced just yet. Amazon Prime already has the exclusive streaming rights to Thursday Night Football.
Well, McDonald's and Krispy Kreme are testing out a sweet team up. Today, the two companies announced McDonald's is going to start selling Krispy Kreme donuts at 9 locations across the Louisville area. The select restaurants will carry 3 of Krispy Kreme's most popular pastries, including that original glazed donut. They will be delivered fresh every day to those locations. Customers will be able to buy them all day while supplies last. Krispy Kreme says customers can expect them to make their Mickey D's debut starting October 26th for a limited time.
Philanthropist Mackenzie Scott is donating $84.5 million to the Girl Scouts of the USA. It is the largest donation the Girl Scouts have ever received from a single person. The money is going to be used in 29 local branches as the organization recovers from the pandemic, which led to a drop in membership. The money will help with diversity programs and science and technology education, among other things. Scott is the ex-wife of Amazon founder